All right, buckle up, everybody, because we are about to deep dive into the mind of Jeff Bezos.
Oh, yeah.
You guys gave us Amazon's 2012 shareholder letter.
That's right.
And with the help of expert speaker over here,
Yes.
we are going to try to break down those core principles that made Amazon the giant it is today.
Absolutely.
And there's a really interesting little twist here.
Okay.
Bezos actually decided to reprint his original letter from 1997
Yeah, the 1997 letter to shareholders.
with this one. So
Mm.
what do you think? What's the message there?
I think it's more than just nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's a very deliberate move to show how consistent their vision has been over time.
So even as the company grows, those core values haven't really changed.
Right.
It's almost like he's saying, like,
Yeah.
hey, we might be huge now,
Yeah,
but we're sticking to our roots.
exactly.
Okay, so over the course of this deep dive, we're going to uncover how Amazon thinks about long-term value, how they're obsessed with their customers,
Very much so.
and how they're not afraid to take big risks, even if it means maybe losing some money in the short term.
Which can be scary for some.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So a great place to start, I think, is this phrase
Okay.
that appears in both letters. It's still day one.
That's a great one. Yeah. It's still day one. What does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean for Amazon?
So day one signifies this constant state of innovation
Okay.
and a refusal to become complacent. It doesn't matter how much they achieve, they're not resting on their laurels.
Yeah.
You know?
They're not just going to kick back and say, we made it.
No.
We're good.
No, not at all.
We're constantly pushing forward.
Always innovating and always trying to improve.
That's a really powerful mentality to have.
Absolutely.
And it kind of sets the tone for their whole approach. Speaking of tone, there's a line in the 2012 letter that I thought was really striking.
Okay.
Bezos writes, our energy at Amazon comes from the desire to impress customers rather than the zeal to best competitors.
Oh, that's a good one.
What do you think about that?
I think that really gets to the heart of Amazon's philosophy, which is this customer obsession. It's not just a marketing slogan. It's deeply ingrained in how they make decisions.
Now, some people might say focusing that much on the customer could actually hurt your profits.
Right.
How does Bezos address that?
Well, he argues that this customer focus actually fuels a very proactive approach.
Okay.
So instead of reacting to what competitors are doing or waiting for customers to complain,
Yeah.
they're constantly looking for ways to improve the customer experience before any issues even arise.
So they're not just putting out fires, they're trying to prevent them altogether.
Exactly. And that's huge because it builds this incredible trust with customers. They feel like Amazon's really on their side, going above and beyond to make their lives better, even in ways they might not expect.
So let's get into some real-world examples of this.
Okay, yeah.
Because the letter is full of stories that show how this customer centricity actually plays out.
It is, yeah.
What are some of the standout examples for you?
Well, one that comes to mind is the story about the automated refund for subpar video playback.
Oh, yeah.
So a customer was watching Casablanca
Okay.
on Amazon Video on Demand, and the quality wasn't so great.
Oh, no.
And get this, Amazon's system automatically detected the problem
Wow.
and refunded the customer's money without them even having to contact customer service.
So you're watching this classic movie and you just get your money back.
Yeah.
That's next level customer service.
They're willing to take a financial hit to make sure the customer feels valued.
Absolutely. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
And there are tons more examples like that.
Yeah. Give us another one.
Another great one is the pre-order price guarantee.
Oh, yeah. I've used that.
So if you pre-order something on Amazon and the
Yeah.
price drops before it's released, they automatically refund you the difference.
Right.
Most companies wouldn't even think to do that.
No.
But Amazon's like, we trust you, and we want you to trust us.
Totally.
It's about building that relationship.
And it's not just about individual customers, right?
No, not at all.
They've applied this thinking to their partners as well. For example, they decided to pay authors monthly royalties.
Right, which is unusual.
Yeah, traditionally, authors get paid twice a year, but Amazon saw that as a pain point
It was.
and decided to do something about it.
Even though there was no competitive pressure to do so.
It's like they're constantly looking for ways to make things better, even if it doesn't immediately boost their profit.
Exactly. It's all about the long game.
And speaking of the long game, let's talk about how Amazon approaches investment.
Okay.
Bezos quotes Benjamin Graham in the letter. He says, in the short run, the market is a voting machine, but in the long run, it is a weighing machine.
That's a classic quote.
Yeah, what do you think that means in the context of Amazon?
I think it highlights their focus on building a company with real, lasting value.
Mm-hmm.
They're not chasing quick wins in the stock market. They're building something substantial, something with weight, even if it means they might miss out on some short-term profits.
So they're okay with making big bets that might not pay off right away. They're
Absolutely.
playing the long game.
Exactly, just like with their customer focus.
And you see this in their investments, right?
Oh, for sure.
Things like Prime, AWS, and Kindle.
All risky ventures at the time.
Huge risks.
But now they're like pillars of Amazon's success.
Exactly.
And it all came from understanding customer needs and being willing to invest in the future.
Let's dive a little deeper into AWS
Okay.
because it's such a cool example of how they took an internal solution and turned it into this massive success.
It really is.
So remind everybody how AWS even got started.
Well, it started as a way for Amazon to manage their own huge infrastructure needs.
Okay.
And then they realized, hey, other companies could really benefit from this too.
Yeah.
And that's how AWS was born.
It's crazy to think that it started as an internal tool.
I know, right?
And now it's this massive multi-billion-dollar business.
It just goes to show that sometimes the best ideas come from solving your own problems.
Totally. And the thing is, even though AWS has become this huge revenue generator, they haven't stopped innovating.
Not at all.
In 2012 alone, they launched something like 159 new features and services.
It's incredible.
And didn't they also reduce prices like a bunch of times?
They did, like 27 times since AWS launched,
Seriously.
which has made cloud computing way more affordable for their customers.
There's that long-term thinking again.
Right.
They're willing to sacrifice short-term profits for long-term growth and customer loyalty. And it gets even better. There's this feature called Trusted Advisor,
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
where AWS proactively helps customers save money.
By identifying areas where they might be overspending.
They're basically telling customers how to pay them less.
It's amazing.
Most companies would never do that.
Right. But it all comes back to that core belief.
Hmm.
Happy customers become loyal customers.
Yeah.
And that loyalty leads to sustained growth.
It's a win-win in the long run.
It really is.
Now, not everyone was on board with Amazon's approach.
Oh.
One observer even called them, get this, a charitable organization being run by elements of the investment community for the benefit of consumers.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
It is.
I mean, are they being too generous?
Yeah.
Are these investments sustainable?
Exactly. How does Bezos reconcile this customer-centric approach
Right.
with his responsibility to shareholders?
Well, his argument is that long-term thinking actually aligns the interests of both customers and shareholders.
So if you keep customers happy, they'll keep coming back, tell their friends,
Right.
and ultimately that's going to drive up the value of the company.
That's the idea.
It's not about squeezing every penny out of customers today. It's about building a lasting relationship.
Exactly, a relationship that benefits everyone involved.
So they're building a company that's not just profitable, but also fundamentally sound.
And sustainable for the long haul.
It's amazing to see how this philosophy has played out for them.
Yeah, they've really disrupted the way we think about business.
It's really a remarkable story
Truly is.
of how focusing on customer value above all else can lead to extraordinary success.
Absolutely.
It's not always about, like inventing the next gadget or something.
Right, it can be about, like, fundamentally changing how business is done.
And making things better for the people that you serve, right?
Absolutely.
You know what really struck me reading this letter was just how many concrete examples there are.
Yeah, it's not just talk, right?
It's like Bezos backs it up
Yeah, he's walking the walk.
with real action.
He's showing, not telling,
Right.
how this philosophy plays out in the real world.
I think it makes you wonder
Yeah.
how they maintain this customer-centric culture at such a massive scale.
Right, because
Amazon's a behemoth now.
huge. It's massive.
And they still seem to have that kind of agility and focus that you see in
Right.
smaller companies, startups.
Startups, yeah.
What do you think? How do they do that?
I think leadership plays a huge role.
Okay.
I mean, Bezos set the tone from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like permeated throughout the whole organization.
They've got these systems in place that really reinforce this customer obsession.
At every level. Yeah.
From, like how they collect data to how they empower their employees
Right.
to make decisions that benefit the customer.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
It is. You attract people who share those values.
Right.
And then those people strengthen the culture even more.
So what does this all mean for us, like, everyday people?
That's where it gets interesting.
Because not everyone's running, a billion-dollar tech company.
Of course, yeah.
But I think these principles can be applied in any context, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about selling things online.
Nope.
It's about building trust with people,
Building relationships.
exceeding expectations, creating a culture where people feel valued.
Yeah, like genuinely valued.
So think about the people that you interact with regularly, right?
Sure.
Clients,
Oh,
your friends, your family.
your neighbors.
How could you apply some of these principles to make their experiences better?
That's a great question.
I mean, have you ever been wowed by a company going above and beyond for you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What was it about that experience that made you feel valued?
I think sometimes it's the simplest things,
Right.
like a handwritten thank you note
Oh, yeah.
or, somebody offering a suggestion that you didn't even ask for,
Right.
or just taking the time to really listen to your concerns.
Yeah, just feeling heard, I think.
Exactly. And those small things,
Yeah.
they can have a huge impact.
They really can.
They strengthen relationships and create a positive experience.
Absolutely.
And that's the essence of this customer-centric approach.
It's not about the grand gestures.
Yeah.
It's the little everyday things that show you care.
Consistency is key.
There's one other thing Bezos talks about in this letter that I think is worth mentioning.
Okay, what's that?
He acknowledges that Amazon is going to make mistakes.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect.
Right. He even says many will turn out to be blind alleys.
But that's part of the process.
He sees those mistakes as inevitable,
Right.
part of innovation.
You can't have the wins without the losses.
Right. They're not afraid to experiment,
Not at all.
even if it means they might fail.
They actually embrace failure.
As a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
He uses this really great metaphor of exploring like narrow passages. Some lead to dead ends, but others open up into these broad avenues.
It's a perfect picture of what it's like to be an entrepreneur, right?
It really is.
You have to take risks, venture into the unknown.
Even if you don't know where you're going to end up.
Exactly. And I think it's that willingness to experiment, to learn from both their successes and their failures that keeps them ahead of the curve.
It's in their DNA. So, instead of being terrified of failing,
Right.
we should see it as a step towards growth and innovation.
Absolutely.
You never know. Maybe one of those narrow passages will lead you to a breakthrough.
Right.
That changes everything.
It's about having that courage to explore.
To experiment.
And to never stop learning.
And as always,
Yeah.
to put the customer first.
Absolutely.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
What stands out to you as like the most important message from all of this?
I think for me, it's that customer obsession isn't just a marketing tactic.
Yeah, it goes much deeper.
It's a core philosophy
Yeah.
that should drive every aspect of a business.
It's about building a culture where everyone's focused on exceeding expectations.
And delivering that exceptional value.
And that's something we can all try to do.
Yeah, for sure.
In our own work, in our lives.
Absolutely.
If you're feeling inspired.
Yeah.
To bring a little bit of that like Amazon customer focus into your own world, I actually have a suggestion for you.
Oh, okay. I'm all ears.
Go back and reread that 1997 letter.
The original.
That Bezos included with this one.
The OG letter.
He reprinted it for a reason.
Right. It's like he's saying, hey, pay attention to this.
Yeah, it's almost like a little time capsule.
It is.
Showing us that these principles have been there from the very beginning.
The foundation of their success.
Yeah, and they're just as relevant today.
If not more so.
So as you go about your day today,
Yeah.
I challenge you to ask yourself a couple of questions.
Okay, hit me.
All right, first one. What would Bezos do?
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
What would Bezos do?
And second, how can I go above and beyond what's expected of me?
Those are good questions to keep in mind.
I think they can really shift your perspective.
They can.
And, who knows, maybe they'll lead you to your own day one moment.
It could happen.
Well, this deep dive has been an incredible journey.
It has been.
Into the mind of Jeff Bezos.
Fascinating guy.
And all those principles that have fueled Amazon's success.
Absolutely.
We've explored customer obsession, long-term thinking.
My power of innovation.
And even, embracing failure.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
We hope you've learned a thing or two.
Gain some insights.
That you can apply to your own work and your life.
For sure.
And maybe you're feeling a little inspired to create a little more wow in the world.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.
And keep learning.